Happy Black History Month. We are a little bit late today, but it's Black History Month. We can do that. Thank you all for joining us, whoever is, joining us in the live right now. I'm Kirsten Thompson. We just had a really nice, almost month-long sabbatical. Our producer, Gylan, was busy doing all sorts of things with Dream Week and producing other events around town. I was meditating, but now we are back. More Than Magic is back. We are at 221 Burleson, which is VodPod Media. That's our home. We are a Black-owned media production studio here in San Antonio, Texas. And let's get into this interview. I am so excited and so happy to have a very dear, true friend of mine here, Yaneth Veliz Espinosa. Well, do we want to say the full name?
Yeah, let's give him the whole name.
Yaneth Ivone Veliz Espinosa.
Yaneth Ivone Veliz Espinosa.
Yes. And welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the studio. I'm so glad to. And you look
so
amazing,
excited.
by the way.
Thank
This is
you.
fire. I love the ensemble. Thank you for the
you.
color. We needed a little
You
color
know,
in the studio today.
We do color. Yes.
So this is our tradition, and you watch the show, so you already know.
Absolutely.
At the beginning of every show, we talk about the guest's name.
Yes.
Because our names are important. Mm-hmm. They have meaning, they have value, and they deserve to be pronounced correctly.
Okay.
And they didn't deserve to be honored. So can you please tell us the meaning of your name?
Absolutely. So Yaneth in my country is actually a pretty common name. It is of Hebrew origin, mm-hmm. and it means God is merciful. Mm-hmm. The spelling of it. And it is pronounced Yaneth, not
Yaneth.
Else. Right.
Not Janet.
Yes, because everybody will pronounce it the way they want to, and sometimes I'm not in the mood to correct them. Right. But it's Yaneth, and it means God is merciful, of Hebrew origin. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But it is common in my country, of course, being of Afro Latina descent. So,
yes. And that is something I really want to delve into. I mean, we're going to take a trip around the world today. But I really would like to talk to you about your identity.
Okay.
In recent years, you hear the term Afro Latina often.
Recent.
It wasn't always like that.
Not at all.
And I think there's an understanding that the whole diaspora, the whole African diaspora is connected.
Yeah.
But that wasn't always like that either.
Right.
So with you as an Afro-Latina identified woman, tell me a little bit about what it was like for you coming to the United States.
Okay.
And I'll just stop there.
Yeah.
Let's just start there.
I was going to say that alone is
hard stop.
Okay.
And go.
Right. So my mother and my father are both Panamanian, Central America, and my mother married an American man. He's actually from Venezuela. He married an American man. And that's how we ended up in the United States. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I'm an American. Yes, I have all my papers in case anybody wants to know. Because, people are people.
Right.
So, yes. So, we got here.
Texas.
Okay. So, I've been in the United States for about, well over 30 years.
Right.
So, I came here as a child. But Afro-Latina was not a thing in the 80s when I got here. And so it was very difficult for me to find my niche, find my tribe, simply because as a Latina, the Latinos saw me as too dark, and I am definitely not dark, more on the yellowish side. So they saw me as too dark to be part of the Latino. Right. I was too dark to be Latina, and I was definitely something to be part of the African American culture.
Right.
And I was too Hispanic for them.
Right.
So the plus side of that is that I was embraced by the men in the African American community. They embraced me. The women didn't, but the men embraced me.
Right.
That's a whole
other show.
That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole other show.
We might reel it back. We
might have that show one day.
But the Hispanics, especially when we moved here to San Antonio, I had a hard time in school because, like I said, the Latinos did not, they just didn't want anything to do with me. And a lot of times they were speaking Spanish and they didn't know that I spoke, Spanish was my first language. And when I would chime in, it was always like, did we say that around her? Oops, because they just automatically assumed that I was Black And then, of course, the Black people automatically assume that, oh, you have to be mixed with something.
Right.
Maybe Polynesian, you're Puerto Rican, you're Dominican. And we in the Latin community, we do not like to be labeled as what we're not. So
Right.
I am not Puerto Rican, I am not Dominican, I am not Mexican, I am Panamanian. So, that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, it was difficult. Yeah.
I am listening to you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sharing
yeah.
this
Yeah.
because I didn't share it before we started.
Oh,
I'm sharing it to the
okay.
feed because I want to make
Yes.
sure everyone. Okay, there we go. Because
Okay.
we're a little late.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
there has been a lot of conversation about what Blackness is. It's an ongoing conversation. And I think Black History Month is a wonderful time to talk about that. I talk about it all the time because I feel like if you are of the diaspora,
Yeah.
we may be different branches on a tree, but we have the same roots.
Yeah.
So now, as a fully developed, grown woman with her own worldview,
Come on now. Yeah.
how do you process your Blackness, even though people don't necessarily say she's a Black woman?
Well, I don't even know that I even think twice about processing it. I just know that we live in this day and age. I know that I am viewed by certain cultures as a Black woman.
Right.
They could care less that I came from Central America.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if I get pulled over, I am not a white woman, okay?
Está morena.
So, okay, they're going to know that I'm morenita, negrita, whatever you want to call me.
Right.
So I understand it to be that, and I have walked in it, accepted it, and I don't veer from it. At the end of the day, when it comes down to, I know whose side I'm on, and that's pretty much it. Because society will never view me as a white woman.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's just the way it is. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to accept that and just move on. And I have family members that probably would disagree with me, and
Of
if
course.
they're watching, I'll say, "Hi, guys." So, but I love them. They don't understand it like I understand it.
Right.
But they would probably have had to have walked in my shoes in order to know where I'm coming from, and the experiences that I went through in the 80s and in the 90s and even in, this day and age. The experiences that I went through have made me who I am. So therefore, I'm a Black woman.
Right.
I'm a Black woman. Yeah.
Right.
And I still to this day have friends that just refuse.
Can't quite
Yeah,
understand.
no, and they wanna fight me on it, but I stand my ground. I'm a
Yeah.
Black woman. Yeah.
Well, and it's okay. Not
Yeah.
everyone has to understand. Identity is very much about self
Absolutely.
and how we feel about ourselves
Yeah.
and what our understanding leads us to know, not even what we feel, to
Yeah.
know about ourselves. So
Yeah.
now you mentioned, walking in your shoes.
Yes.
And having the experiences that you've experienced. And you had a very, much like your ensemble, you've had a colorful life.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to start, and if you need to push me in one direction or the other, sis, do it, okay?
I got you. I got
Okay.
you. Yes, yes.
But I think I would like to start. I remember once we were talking, and, I don't drink alcohol.
Right.
I'm a teetotaler, but
Yeah.
I'm always fine around people who do.
Yeah, same.
No big deal.
Same.
But I remember we had gone somewhere, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to order a drink," and you were like, "Yeah, I don't either." And I was like, "Oh, what?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool," because
Right.
that eliminates having to explain things.
Right.
But you did share that in your past,
Right.
you did have some challenges to overcome with
Absolutely.
things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So do you want to talk about, and of
Absolutely.
course, we're walking up the road. We're going to get to the...
I absolutely, but again, you're going to have to kind of keep me because, I share it all.
I'm going to be like,
I know, we'll be like, okay, we're done. Okay, I shared it all. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You share as much as you want.
Yeah, no. So definitely a colorful past. I am someone who is a believer in Christ, and I haven't always been. I grew up Catholic, so that was different. And I didn't become a believer in Christ until closer to my late 20s. So prior to that, I lived my life.
Right.
I lived my life, okay? I have created for myself a great testimony that I will one day write a book, which I did start, but I haven't finished. I don't even know where the book is, but I did start it. I did start it. I promise I did start it. It's somewhere in the garage. But I will one day get to share my entire story. So, like I said, early 20s, I kind of lived my life. Probably like even 16, 17, I was into the club scene. I love the club scene. House music, reggae music, reggaeton,
Right.
Latin music,
All of
salsa, merengue, bachata, anything that you can think of, I was there for it.
Right.
When I tell you I was there for it, it was a Monday through Sunday thing, okay?
Yeah.
I had a club to go through Monday through Sunday. So I ended up living a pretty hectic life because I was out in the club scene. I did enjoy drinking quite a bit. At one point in my life, I was probably doing half a bottle of Jack Daniels in the morning and a bottle of tequila at night.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know? So fast forward to my late 20s, there was a place in my life where everything kind of got sketchy and a little difficult, where I became suicidal. And, I'm someone who doesn't shy away from talking about the deep things. So again, if you have to reel me in, reel me in.
No, you see,
I'm all about, telling my truth. And even to this day and age, like I said, I'm a believer. I'm not perfect. And I'm very transparent about who I am and my walk with God and mistakes I make and period. Because I just don't know how not to be.
Right.
Again, I wasn't born in a pew. I wasn't in the church all my life. It was something that I came to at the age of late 20s. And I was suicidal, went to this church, heard the gospel, heard somebody say, Jesus loves you. And that was it for me. I was like, what? I've never heard anything like that. And keep in mind, I have been a Catholic all my life. So
it's a different experience.
It's a very different experience, and this was a non-denominational church. So hearing, and it was just the lady that was sitting next to me. I'll never forget her to this day. Mary was her first name. She just looked over at me, young girl in her 20s. She said, Jesus loves you. I had never heard that before. Changed my life. Absolutely. That same day. Then, it was a woman's kind of setup where there was a woman talking about the Bible and God. And I was like, wow, this is weird, but different. But it was hitting me in a way that I couldn't deny. The tears were flowing, and it was just quite an experience, and it was life-changing. And I literally went from that individual that was hardcore clubbing, I enjoyed the club scene, the dating scene, the overindulgent scene. I enjoyed it all, okay? There were choices I made in life. I enjoyed them, all of them, okay? So fast forward to that day, I said, I want what this lady's telling me. And she didn't say anything other than Jesus loves you. That's all she said. So after the whole thing, the lady said, would you like to accept him in your heart? And I did that. And fast forward 24 plus years, here I am. I'm a follower of Christ. Someone who's strong in my faith. I stand on my faith. Again, I always tell people, if you fall, it's okay. Do you know how many times I've fallen in 26 years?
Something else you just said, because I'm sure some people are doing some math.
Okay.
Because you said 24 years, and then I was...
Okay,
so
I forget about that.
Well, and I think...
I just told myself.
No, this is good. People should know this.
Absolutely.
It is
I'm proud of it.
It's very common for people to think you're like 30, right? So please share with everyone. And the reason I'm asking you to share this is because I think your external appearance is very much a product. Of course, your genetics had to do something with it too.
Okay,
so,
Mama said, look
Mama
good.
Espinosa, thank you
She still look
for
good.
your mother's beautiful.
Yes.
But I do believe, because I know you know you, that your inner person is definitely reflected on your outside.
Absolutely.
So you just had a birthday, sis.
I just had a birthday.
Please tell us.
December the 25th, I turned 51. Look, I was going to say 41. 51.
You're a backslide.
I was going to say, maybe that's something I posted somewhere. No, I am 51 and proud. Yes, all the time. I get mistaken for being in my 30s, and I'm okay with that. But I do correct people. I'm 51.
Right. But there's something in that too. I feel like you are proud because you know yourself and you're very free. Absolutely. And I think one thing women around our age tend to do, like once you hit middle age, people tend to really not want, there's this quest to be young. Like you're always chasing youth.
Yeah, which is crazy because you're never going to get there.
Ever.
That's a dumb thing to chase.
So
along with money.
Why do you think you're just so comfortable. Aside from your faith and that particular journey, outside of that, that acceptance of like, yes, I am a 51-year-old woman, and this is me. Because I know you, and I know you very much are like that.
I think a lot of that comfiness comes from definitely, absolutely my faith, but I think also just in having the mindset that the age is still a number. And clearly, because people younger always embrace me and always bring me into their circle. And when I say younger, I'm talking about 25.
Yes.
I still have people that I meet that are 25. And they always want to hang out. And I'm like, I'm like your mama age, probably your grandma age. And they're like, they have no issues with it. Right. So I think the confidence that is just within me, but also just really having an understanding that it's just a number.
Exactly.
That just because I'm 51, look, I don't have to stop owning business. As a matter of fact, I've started a whole lot of new businesses just in the last couple of years, right?
Indeed.
So, and I just continue to grow. I'm studying, to do the virtual assistant thing. I'm learning more on my photography, editing, I'm still a makeup artist at heart, my license is an esthetician. Look, did we answer all the questions? What else did you got for me? Right. I got it all down.
I'm like, hold on, let me list all the things that you
just go ahead and scratch. We've already discussed. Right, yeah, right. So that's where
I really am going to refer to this though, because we know each other too well.
Yeah, so that's where the confidence comes from, just knowing who I am. It's just a number, whether I'm alive to see 52 or not. I'm going to make it to 100 because I'm determined, in Jesus' name. We have this whole conversation going. So if I don't make it to see 100 and I, don't make it to 52, then what did I worry for?
Say that again.
What did I worry for if I don't make it to see 52? Right. What was the whole issue? Right. Not enough Botox. Thank God I haven't had to have Botox, but I will if I have to. But I haven't. Right. But some of these women that I, as a business owner, a lot of my clients, they're of a different culture and they are seeking that, that youthfulness, and they're going forth with the injectables and, the facelifts, and some of them are just like in their 30s. And I'm like, dude, like what? You're like in your 30s.
You're
and every time and that's another reason I'm so quick to tell people my age. I'm like, you can be at this age and be okay with it. Yeah. You can be okay with it.
Drink your water.
Okay.
Mind your business.
Mind your business. Yes.
Eat well.
Do some yoga. Eat well. Travel a little. Yeah. And just live, because you're in your 30s. You don't know if you're going to make it to your 40s. So chill. Yeah. For reals. In the words of my nephew, chill, bruh.
Chill for real.
Chill, bruh.
Israel.
Israel. Chill, bruh. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So you were talking about having friendships with younger women, and I know this to be true.
Yes.
And I want to kind of tie that in with, I know that for a very long time, a large portion of your life was dedicated to ministering to and helping young women.
Absolutely.
So what made you decide that was what you, I mean, I think I know your answer, but what made you say, this is the lane that I want to be in? Because for a long time, you were like, this is what I'm doing tonight, tomorrow night, this weekend. Sunday
For about
morning.
15 years, to be exact. Yeah, maybe 15 plus years. Yeah, I dedicated myself to young people. And they, again, even I was in my 30s doing ministry, and they gravitated towards me. I do think that a lot of the reasoning behind people gravitating towards me, I do think it's a God thing, honestly. I think that people are drawn to me because there is something in me that I have to give to them. And even as I sit here and I know that there's that one person listening, that they'll hear my testimony, they'll hear my story, they'll hear my age, something will click and they will feel different about themselves once I have spoken words. So, which is why I have kind of, stepped back from really doing a lot of, whether it's the podcast, and even I used to share a lot on my social media. I don't do too much of that.
Yeah, you just disappear.
I disappeared, right? But I was very mindful of that because I wanted to make sure that the words that I spoke had value, right? I didn't just want to be, because everybody's an influence these days, right? You put on a cute outfit, you do some cute makeup, you take some cute photography, everybody can influence everybody. So everybody has this pulpit that they can stand behind, and they're not very careful with their words, and they do a lot more damage than good. So back to what the question really was. I don't know where I'm going, Okay, so The question was the youth. I love the young people. I still to this day, I love them more than I don't have any children of my own, but those were my children to this very day. Okay. Fast forward, I left ministry. I was maybe in my 40s. Yeah, I was already in my early 40s. To this day, they still keep in touch with me through social media. They reach out to me if they need anything. If I reach out to them and I tell them, if I make any kind of a correction that I see them going in a path that whatever, they still accept it from me.
Right.
And I love that. But I do think that that's the God in me that has positioned me in a place to be able to be drawn to them and them drawn to me. Yeah. I absolutely love every bit of my 15 years. And when I tell you I was there every week.
I remember.
Every week.
I remember.
Faithfully.
I think that was back in the day where we would try to like get together and you
we
were like,
never
oh
had time.
no,
I'm like, I got youth ministry.
At church every day? I'm like, she's at church every day.
All the time. I was in church all the time. But I enjoy that. Yeah.
Knowing you, I know that a large part of the reason why younger people are drawn to you is, you know, like you said, it's the God in you.
Yeah. It's
also the fact that you are not judgmental. And this is honestly, Yaneth, a big part of the reason I wanted to have you on the show. You know, I adore you and I love you.
Yeah.
But you are so strong and so centered in your belief system and the way that you've chosen to live your life. You are also one of the least judgmental people that I know, which is interesting because I don't think it's a secret that a lot of people who have the same faith system or belief set tend to be very judgmental.
Right. Facts.
How do you navigate? Is that like a conscious thing for you to say, I'm not going to be this way? Because I know even with us, we don't share the same beliefs.
At all.
Yeah, it's
but
like...
we can hang.
I mean, there's some core stuff that we have in common, definitely.
Sure. Yeah.
But a large part of, and we've talked
Respect.
about, okay.
Yeah, respect. We respect one another, right? Like, I know your belief system is different than mine. I know your personal understanding of my belief system. So you just respect the person and not have a desire to beat them over the head with the Bible, right? Because that is what I see a lot happening in churches these days. People are so quick. Like, I literally want to grab this mic and be like, people are so quick to be like, because, you know, it's like,
I got something to say.
You know, I'm accustomed to that, right?
Right.
You know, I've had a little bit of experience. So people, okay. People, right, in the church these days. And the sad thing, and it drives me some kind of, okay? Because I see so many people that have a desire to want to come into the church, but the mothers, okay, the elders, the older people, they're just so, your outfit, your this is showing, your nail polish, your lipstick is red. It's like, can we just let it go? Because Jesus is not worried about the color of your lipstick. He's not worried about your purple or high pink fuchsia nail polish, the way you're wearing your hair. He doesn't care. Because what he cares about is, are you someone that he can utilize to win other people? He wants to know, are you someone that he can fall in love with and you fall in love with back? That's what he's looking for. He ain't worried about what you're wearing and let God be God and let everybody else in church just be the church folk. Because you know what? At the end of the day, they got skeletons in their closets. And that's why
absolutely.
I am conscious about not being judgmental. I am conscious about telling people and I'm sharing my life with people all the time and be transparent, because I don't want to be that type of believer. I do not enjoy speaking to that type of believer. So I have to make sure that I'm not that type of person. You know what I mean? Now, there's some friends that are super duper close that are my sisters, right? Of
course.
Now, we can be a little bit more tightly.
Yes,
where I'm going to call them out on their mess. Right. And I expect them to call me out on my mess, right? Because why? I'm not perfect. There's some things that I'm probably still doing to this day. Not probably. Right. For sure. Jesus, you know, I'm finna tell the truth. There's some things for sure that to this day that are still kind of rubbing me, and I still have to make corrections. And I allow my girlfriends that are close to me, hey, call me out on my mess so that I can make the proper correction, detour, wherever, and, you know, keep it going. But I do think a lot about not being that type of judgmental believer, because there's so many out there. They don't need one more. They don't need one more.
Right.
I'm trying to be on the different side and win people, right?
Well, and you definitely do walk that walk. Like I can say that, knowing you the way that I do, and it's just such a breath of fresh air. It's so refreshing. So I just have to give you like your flowers.
Thank
Like
you. My grandma said, "Give my flowers while I'm alive."
Yes.
Give my flowers.
Yes, I have to give you your flowers
Thank
for
you.
that.
I appreciate that so much.
So you said, oh Lord, okay, yeah. So one thing that you said was, everybody has skeletons in their closet. And the word skeleton, sometimes people think it's automatically like bad, but it's really just life.
Yes.
Right? It's just life.
That's
Everyone has lived life.
Okay.
And life is not easy, ever. Even the people we think have it easy, they have something they're dealing with.
Absolutely. The struggle is real, sis.
Yeah.
For all of us, including believers.
Absolutely. I want to kind of walk back, and I think we kind of discussed if this was okay. There was a period of your life also where you had experience with being exploited. Are we okay to go there, or
absolutely.
do you want to veer off?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good, yeah.
And I have friends who have been in that position, several. And I know that your faith has saved you from letting that like end you and tear you apart inside. Do you want just share whatever you're comfortable with?
I was gonna say, tell me specifically which story you're thinking about.
You're like, I got stories.
I was like, wait, let me see how much time we got. Oh, look, y'all are matched. Oh, my friends blow me up. Hey, girl, hey. Okay, yeah.
So I'm kind of we should have done like a pre-interview interview, but this is real. This is just real. And if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to.
We're good.
But I know that you said there was also we've talked about there was a time where you were exploited sexually.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. As a child.
Yes.
As a child, yeah.
And that is utterly devastating.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what did you do? Because I know it requires, faith and prayer are very important for you. But I know that there's other things that you've incorporated into your wheelhouse. Yeah. So can we talk about
Absolutely.
that?
I was going to say, let's get into that, because there's so many women in this day and age that to this day, they have not been able to let go of that hurt. So for myself, I will say I have forgiven my violator. To this day, I can say prayers for my violator. Why? Because of the God in me. I don't know if that man went through something.
Well, you're better than me.
I know.
But I know.
What kind of human does it take to be able to say, I forgive my violator? Right. I absolutely do. And if I was put in a situation where I had to speak to them and maybe lead them in a prayer, I would absolutely do that. And I would pray that God would give me the strength to do that, because in my heart, they've been forgiven. I don't know what they went through that put them in a situation where they felt they had to do that to me. I'm very much conscious that people who violate other people, hurt people. We say that all the time, right? People who violate young kids, because I was a child, under the age of 10, I was a child. So for an adult to violate a child for over 10 years, right? That's a lot. That's a lot. It was damaging, which is probably why I had such a rough life. It led me to a place of drinking, and, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I was trying to find that peace that only God was able to bring to me. So, being violated, that was rough. And I smile and I say this with my everything, that wasn't about me. Right. That wasn't for me. That was for that who hears my words, right? That who reads my book. That wasn't even about me. That was to save somebody else. I get that. I've accepted that. I am bearing that burden proud. But it's not even a burden anymore, but it was at one point. Right. I can live life. I'm okay, right? Because it wasn't about me. Yeah. It was about that someone who'll hear my story.
How do you balance that, like, I'm all right, I'm okay, I have no shame, with also the need for justice in this system?
I pretty much just said, let God take care of that. You
literally let it go.
Let that justice be, because if he don't ever get his life right, then You know, I can't even be sarcastic about it and say anything
Right.
sarcastic. I'm just like, you know, ooh, sorry for you, but not in a
Right.
bad way. Like, I'm sorry that you
Genuinely
didn't.
sorry.
Yeah, God's in charge. You know, that wasn't about me. I'm thankful for that experience because it will help another young lady.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's like if I didn't know what other purpose did I have on this earth, to know that my life experience would help and save one individual. What I've lived, I've
Yeah.
accomplished.
Yeah.
What else do I have to do? That's
Indeed.
it. I've done it all because it helped that one individual.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you for sharing that because
Absolutely.
I was like,
No,
I was kind of
no,
tiptoeing.
Yeah.
But as always, I know that
Yeah.
somebody out there
Absolutely.
needed to hear, especially when you said it
Absolutely.
wasn't even about me.
It wasn't even about. It was
Because
about them.
so many times,
Yeah.
you know, women, and it's not always women, it's
Yeah.
young
Men
boys
too.
and men as well.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
think that they did
Yeah.
something to deserve it, something to invite it,
Not at all.
something to warrant it,
Not at
and
all.
it's just not true. It's
Not
a lie.
true. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And those
absolutely.
violators, they've probably experienced something in their childhood
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I would never know, but I can possibly say, yeah, maybe that's what happened. And
Yeah.
if not, if they were just an evil person, then God's got it.
Right.
You know? Yeah. I've lived a good life.
My hat's off to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to lighten it back up.
Okay. We like lights.
I know that one of the ways that you also view your ministering to people is through your creative gifts.
Ah, yes.
And it's so beautiful to connect with other creative people
Yeah.
because I have always said that creative energy it's energy.
Okay.
And it manifests itself in a multitude of different ways. So
Absolutely.
it's no shock or no surprise. You know, someone might see like a Hollywood actor.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, he's been acting all his life. Why does he want to be a singer?
Yeah.
Why does he want to be a painter?
Yeah.
Because that gift is there, that energy's there. So I know that you have multiple endeavors and they all in some way serve other people.
Yeah.
So when I initially met you, you were an esthetician primarily. That was your primary focus. Primary focus.
Yes.
How did you get into that? And she's also very good, y'all. Wait, do you want me to plug you? Or are you
I'm
trying to
good.
like? Okay,
I'm good. I'm
She-
just not
she
currently
doesn't- she
taking
doesn't need any
appointments.
more
Like I'm currently
clients.
not taking
Sorry.
clients. I'm good. I'm just not taking appointments or clients. No, eventually I will be. So I think so for me, you know, I have to give kudos to my family in Panama. Okay, so my grandmother, my
that's
mother,
right.
my aunties to this day. Okay, and this is probably a culture thing. Like if I known I was coming here, like kind of how I showed
You're
up in my tennis
representing-
shoes, girl, I would have heard like, did you? And I may still hear why my hair didn't get combed, but it did, Grandma. I combed it, but like the weather. Okay.
we have to come back to that.
Okay.
too.
Okay.
The
yes.
hair.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Porque es, you know what it is.
The whole pelo
okay,
malo and
girl, that's a whole nother sermon. I don't think we got time for that.
Yeah.
So, So my aunties, I grew up watching them. They're beautiful. They did the makeup thing. So I was, from a little girl, I was fascinated with makeup, with hair, with their clothing. And to
Right.
this day, I mean, I don't even know how old my aunties are. Whether if I'm 51, they're way older
They're-
than me.
right.
Thank you, Jesus, they're still alive. But they are flawless. Okay.
Yeah,
like
they're
Beyonce.
beautiful.
Beyonce, no, baby, no. Come see my aunties, okay? So, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Okay, so, yeah, so I grew up watching them and I was fascinated by the aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So, fast forward, you know, even before I started working as an esthetician, I was doing makeup. So, I've lived in San Antonio for over 30 years and I've been a makeup artist in San Antonio for about 17 plus years, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, everything's low key. I've never advertised. Everything has just fallen into
Your
my lap.
gifts made a way for you.
My gifts have made a way for me, right? My esthetician license, my makeup artistry, my photography. What else am I doing?
And let's pause there
Girl.
because I've known you a very long time.
Yeah.
And then one day you're just like, oh, look at these pictures. Like, look at these. And it's like beautiful
right.
work that could be published, like
Yeah.
editorial quality or grade work. So what made you decide to pick up a camera? And there's a reason I'm asking you about all of these
Okay.
gifts, and
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
Yeah,
But
you know, I think I've always I'm a lover of beautiful things.
yes,
Whether it's a beautiful outfit, a beautiful person, a beautiful hairdo, okay? Don't make that face because you know what? We all know. We know. I am a lover of beautiful things.
Yeah.
The beautiful sunset,
Yeah.
beautiful morning rise. Because I do, girl, I mean, I'm up at like 7, be like, come on, sun. And my
Right.
coworkers think I'm hilarious because they're like, why are you cheering the sun on? Because it's just me. I like to see the beauty of the sun. So I'm a lover of beautiful things. So I think I just thought, you know, what if I could capture it? Like, what if I can hold on to that sunset? What if I can hold on to that sunrise? What if I can hold on to that beautiful person I just saw downtown walking around?
Right.
What if I can create something and just make it flawless and just make it just something, you know, that the eye would just be so drawn to it?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, let's do it. And it's again, just a God-given gift. I not had any training as a makeup artist. I did have to go to school as an esthetician because Texas said I had to.
Right.
And
they want their coins.
Right. And but as a photographer, self-taught, and as a makeup artist, self-taught. And so I just thought I wanted to hold on to that beautiful thing that I would always see. I was like, my eyes see so much beauty. Let me capture it, you know. And it was important for me to show people that beauty, and it was important for me to hold on to it as well, you know, so I have it forever. Yeah. So that's just pretty much the story of how I started taking pictures.
Yeah. Literally naturally talented.
Yeah.
Well, then also you are working on and developing a clothing line.
Yay, my clothing line.
On top of everything else. So it's still in the works, but I would like to talk about it.
Absolutely.
I know we're going to do a grand launch later.
Yes.
But again, it's one of those things you just casually mentioned one day,
just
and I was like, wait, what? Like,
I love that. Yeah.
So let's talk about your clothing
Yes.
line, the name of it, your inspiration behind it, and
wow. So
what compelled you to start another endeavor.
Another one. Another one in the words of DJ Khaled.
Literally, I heard it in my head. Another one.
Yes, gosh, because it just, you know, you're thinking of the list and you're like,
right.
Oh, you're doing a lot for 51, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I ain't dead yet, right?
Right.
So maybe about 2014, maybe 2013, I got a vision, right? Probably a dream vision. One of those. I don't remember if it was. And in the vision, I know that God was wanting me to write these words down. And that's all I had. I didn't know it was going to be anything that I would, you know, put on clothing. I just knew that there were words that I had to write down. So I did that. I wrote them down. And for years, I didn't do anything with it because I kept thinking, I don't know if I can do this God justice with this one, right? Because I knew that it came from him. So I wrote them down, and the name of the business is I Am Original, from the book of Exodus, where God says, I am that I am. So that's where the logo came from. And I do have a logo. Yay. And I do have product as well. Yes, she did. So, and I've got a logo and I've got product. And so the words, I am not my sin, are just part of my story, right? Because again, going back to being transparent as a believer. And
wait, did our producer bring a snack? No, they're not for us. Never mind.
For us.
I'm like, he brought us snacks.
I was all, what? We get snacks? I was like, lovely. This is great. I know. No, that would have been hilarious. So no snacks. So so that's pretty much where the name came from. Just the God-given vision. And I Am Original is from the book of Exodus, and I Am Not My Sin is a product of me, because that is going to remind me, and there's a ton of them that's just sitting on the burner. So we're ready to go, you know, prayerfully this year will be the website. You know, I'll be taking pre-orders, guys. So yes, feel free to hit me up, however you can get a hold of me.
And we'll have you plug all your social, whichever ones you want to share later.
Gotcha.
But that is such, and I know it came to you, like I know you were a vessel to receive that message, but I wanted people to hear, like you said, I am not my sin. Now, there are a lot of people in the world, and everyone has a different idea. Like some people don't necessarily believe in sin. Right. But all people have things that trouble them. Absolutely. Or experiences that they have been through that may cause them shame. Absolutely. Or may cause them discomfort. I know on our show, a lot of the times I've talked with the sisters who've come on about I literally blanked. There's terminology for this. Imposter syndrome.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Where you feel like you do not belong in a place because you're not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you're not valuable enough or smart enough or educated or you don't have the right pedigree.
Right.
And I think that statement, I am not my
Yeah.
sin,
Right.
covers all of that.
Absolutely.
Even if a person doesn't necessarily believe in the idea of
there you
sin.
go. Because it's
which
not
is
only for the
okay.
believer. Right. Because again, it's identity.
Right.
So my identity is not my mistake. It is not my past. It is not my sin. It is not what I've currently done. It is not what I'm currently doing. That is not my identity.
Right.
So that's it. That'll be the other product that's coming after, we're doing this one. But it's all under the same umbrella of I am original. Right. So you're right. It ultimately goes back to the identity of someone recognizing that you're not who you think you are if it's a negative thought, right? Because most people don't have very positive way of looking at themselves, and
it's sad.
They don't have anything coming from any direction that would teach them that you are so much more than what you think you are, right? Because you're not even your thoughts. If your thoughts are not lining up with greatness, if your thoughts are not lining up with, things that are going to be helpful to others, that's not who you are. Yeah. And in this day and age, we have a lot of people who are constantly just beating themselves up. I can think of one person all the time that I literally have to say to her all the time, I don't know why you speak of yourself that way. I don't view you that way. Why do you speak? Guess what? It makes her go, you're right.
Well, and I think and when I said it was sad, I said that with no judgment because everyone has, at some point in our life, we've beat ourselves up for one thing or the other. So when I say it's sad, it's from a standpoint of empathy because a sister's been there. Like I've experienced it as well. Yeah. But it's so important to know that we're just all so much bigger.
So much bigger. So much bigger.
We're so much bigger.
And we have like this little photograph of what we could possibly be, but we've never really gone out there to explore different things, right? And we just kind of stay in this, we put ourselves in a little box and this is who I am, this is it, I'm no bigger than this. I see so many beautiful women out in the social media world, and the way that they market themselves is always pretty naked. I don't know how else to put it. They're just marketing themselves as a naked, Instagram influencer. But I always look at them and I always try to see past the outside and think, what is in them? There's so much greatness in them. And if I have an opportunity to say anything to them, if they post something, I may say something to them in a positive light, just because I think it'll trigger something in that individual. As a woman, it'll trigger something in that other woman to say, girl, you are bad mama jamma, right? You the baddest. But I don't mean it the way the world means it. I mean it like I want you to search out what more is in you, right? Just from words that are just so simple, like you're so much more than just showing yourself off.
We have to talk about this. We have to delve a little bit deeper. I was like, is somebody gonna cut us off? Because the mics are gonna go off, and we still gonna be sitting here. I usually just talk until he's like, okay, you need to stop now. We technically have an hour, but it is. And we started late, so we're fine. Yeah. But he's laughing. But
I just forgot you were there.
So I think that you and I, and we commonly have these conversations where it's like, I understand your point. I see things a little bit differently. And you'll have to tell me, I'm going to bounce something off of you. Because part of me is very much of the mind that we are like beautiful, sacred, amazing creations. And we have autonomy over ourselves and how we choose to present ourselves to the world. So for me personally, like even though I tend to dress a certain way, like today I kind of have my chi-chi showing, but it's only because my button wouldn't stop popping open.
Well,
but typically,
we're matchers.
Yeah, like typically I'm a little bit more covered because that's just how I feel comfortable most of the time. But I do have my moments. Yes. I think you've seen a couple.
Okay. Yes.
But there's also a very large part of me, and this is something I constantly struggle with. I don't want to say struggle. I think about.
Okay.
Because I really am like a cheerleader for women. Like that's just who I am.
Same.
And
Yeah.
I'm very reluctant to think that because a woman is making a choice
Yeah.
to show something that I wouldn't, that
Right.
it's because of a negative experience or because of a deficit.
I agree with you on that
I
too.
think sometimes people just
Yeah.
really feel good about themselves
yeah.
and confident.
And they're okay with showing who they are. And I think that's okay. I think that's
it's like
okay.
a little bit of a tightrope walk.
So it's almost like for me, like I have to kind of discern is the word that from the gut. I know if that woman is a hurting woman, and I'm just half naked for the sake of let me see how many likes, let me see who's going to fall in my DMs, slide in my DMs, whatever they're doing, sliding, falling, driving. I don't know what they're doing these days. Actually, I probably do because so sometimes it's from a place of they're hurting, right? And sometimes
and you sense it.
Yes,
that's kind of where I was.
Yes, going. And I can sense that.
Have a gift.
And so I make sure that I reach out to them and let them know that they're more than their nakedness, right? Because I've sensed that there's a little bit more going on than just I'm showing off a beautiful body. Now, to the woman that's lost 300 pounds and she feels awesome and she is going to be half naked and can't nobody tell her nothing. Go girl, you worked to get those 300 pounds off. Yeah, that's, to me, that didn't really come across like she was hurting. That came across like, I wish you would tell me to put some clothes on after I went from 600 to 300. And I'm okay with that. I was like, I applaud you because you know what? That ain't nothing to play with.
So when you say that you sort of like give women a word of encouragement or advice, you literally let your gut lead you.
Yes.
It's
absolutely.
Well,
absolutely. Well, that's where that thing of not making sure that you're not, judgmental, because you can come across abrasive. And I know that I have a bit of an abrasive. I'm very blunt, bold. I can be very aggressive because I've pretty much, it's just me, right? I'm independent and it's just me. There's no, nothing else but God holding me down, right? So it's all about how you come across and having to deal with, different businesses, and you're dealing with men mostly all the time. You kind of have to be able to let them know, okay, you're not about to play me, okay?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it that way, but you're not about to play me, bruh. So, because I know my stuff, I've done my research, and we're not doing that.
Not today.
Not today. Not on my clock.
Well, and because you mentioned or alluded to, being able to sense something, my favorite, like my mantra almost is gut is God. Like,
yes, you say that all the time, girl. You say that all the time.
At least
all
once
the time.
a day.
At least, yes.
And I think it's very important, regardless of one's spiritual or religious inclination, to learn and practice how to trust one's own gut, because that gut, that intuition comes from somewhere, and people have different ideas of where it comes from.
Facts.
But it usually does not fail. And typically when we get in trouble, when we get in some stuff, when we mess up, is when we don't listen to that.
Absolutely.
So how did you learn to really trust that? Like, trust your gut, trust your intuition, not question it.
So for me, that intuition, that gut that people speak of, for me, he is Holy Spirit, right? And I say he is because he, if the audience don't know by now, I am definitely a Jesus lover.
She loves Jesus, y'all.
I love Jesus. And it's not, I love Jesus, honk your horn. It's like, I love Jesus and I live this thing. And when I mess up, I don't care. I'm gonna tell you.
You, and you're so real.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why I respect you so much, because I know that you really do walk the walk.
For sure.
I'm not going to say that there aren't a lot of people. It's just not a common experience.
That people keep it real. That people keep it real. Because if we had more believers that kept it real in this day and age, I believe the church would be in a whole lot of different place. But that's a whole nother summer from another thing. So we're not gonna go there. Okay. So for me, Holy Spirit is my gut. He is my guide. He's my counselor. He's my teacher. He definitely jacks me up when I need to be jacked up. Sometimes I don't listen, and it reminds me of my grandma pulling me by my pigtails when I was little, because I don't always listen. And then I had to go get the switch, and but it wasn't a beating. It was all in love. I understand it. I'm it's just kind of because
old school way.
I was gonna say it's the old school way.
The old school
way.
Yeah.
I don't. What generation am I? I'm not millennial. What is it? Am I Z, B, F, Y, Z,
you might
millennial?
be,
I'm not a millennial.
maybe
I
our
know
producer knows.
I think I'm Z.
Yeah, maybe. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I try
I'm not a
to-
baby boomer either.
I try not to subscribe to
Yeah,
all
you know,
that
because
stuff.
again, that's putting me in a box, and I can't be
Yeah.
boxed. I can't be boxed.
Yeah, that needs to go
I
on a
cannot
shirt.
be boxed.
That
Go ahead.
needs to
And,
go on a
do
shirt,
you want?
yes.
Should I
Put
type
that on
that?
a
You'll
shirt.
try to, okay.
At least
We're gonna
once every
trademark that
episode,
here.
I'm gonna put that on a shirt.
Let me make sure I trademark that here. Don't steal it.
We're
Yeah.
talking about like our perception of ourselves and journeys and self-love. And I wanted to talk to you too, because last month I had a show with five black men.
Four.
Four, yes, because
Yes.
one couldn't make
Yes,
it.
yes.
And we talked about
I watched it.
mental health.
Loved it.
Well, and I know that you know
Yes.
one of the guests.
The therapist, yes.
The therapist.
Yay.
Because you all were professionally
Yes.
connected.
Yes.
And I wanted to talk to you about how important it is for us, Black women, Latina, Native, Indigenous, to seek out
Help.
therapy. Because even with you, when you have a strong center that's faith-based,
Yeah. Yes. Come on now.
it can be helped
Yes.
by
Preach.
seeking out therapy. And unfortunately, some people, I know when I was growing up, my parents had a very specific belief system, and we were taught that, you should pray. And that's kind of where things were left. And then as you grow up and you start to experience life, you're like, I might need a little something extra over here. Like, I understand, I'm praying. But so...
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. Because I am such a huge believer that everybody on the earth needs therapy. Like everybody. And it's not negative.
Yes.
I
No,
don't think
not
it
at
should be
all.
stigmatized. I talk about it
Absolutely.
frequently.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is okay.
It is okay. And as a believer, I too share that sentiment. It is okay to get extra help outside of Jesus. I had to get extra help outside of Jesus because you know what? On the days and the times that I'm like, Holy Spirit, I'm doing this by myself because I know.
I'm grown.
I'm grown. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, on those days,
Right.
then I need therapy.
Right.
Okay, so then I got to call my therapist and be like, girl, so this is what I did. I didn't do that part and then that part. And then I also did this and this led me to that.
Right.
And so then, she kind of guides me and she'll say stuff like, hey, we'll write down the problem. And then she'll say, well, what are the ways that we can resolve the solution to that problem? And how do we go about getting that? And then, my sister, Shamika, she's also my therapist.
Right.
Shout out to Shamika because she does do the counseling thing,
Right.
So my family, my friends that are closest to me, they're my therapists as well. I allow myself as much as possible to be teachable. I can't always say that I am,
Nobody is 100% of the time.
Right.
It's okay. Yeah.
So, but I do give them permission to teach me and guide me. And so, like I said, as a believer, I'm a big, firm believer that you need Jesus and then you might need a little therapy because we've gone through some things. We've got some stuff. We've got trauma.
Listen.
We've got trauma from, you know what? And then that person in my family and then that other person and then they got trauma. And then, and all of that, eventually is upon our shoulders. And you know what? We can't bear it all. It gets heavy.
Well, and I wanted to ask you that question specifically because you're beautiful and you're always put together. You're always having like a fabulous outfit and your hair is always fly. And like I've seen you
Says the girl that's always well put together.
You see me when I'm not too.
Okay.
You're one of the few that's been like, sis, are you okay? We've had some moments. But I just believe that it's important to know that even people who look like this, head to toe, fabulous.
Yeah.
It's still
We
okay
still got junk.
to
We still
reach
got junk.
out to, we all have something
Yeah.
because life is,
Absolutely.
as I've said again. And I think especially now, the reason why I'm talking about it more, because I've always talked about it, amongst friends and family. But now that I have this platform, I'm really, really wanting people in our community specifically to seek that out.
Seek the help.
Because we have extra layers of things that we have to deal with,
And we've been told you can pray it away.
Right.
And we've been told.
Or that it just makes you crazy. Like therapy's for crazy people.
Right.
Or
And that's not so.
No.
But I do understand, where that came from,
Absolutely.
Because we come from a lineage of people that experience some things
Trauma.
that who was a therapist in those days what therapist was they gonna go to? Massa? Was they really gonna go to the Massa as their therapist? No, right? So they prayed it away, they cried it away, and who knows what else, because we didn't live in that day and age. So guess what? They've passed that on all the way down to us, and unfortunately, in this day and age, we're passing it on to our children.
And that's why it's so important that we
At
seek
some
it
point,
so
we
that
gotta
we can stop it.
We have to cut it
Yeah.
off. We have to cut it off. I told someone in my family just only today, I said, you got to get some help. You got to get some help, and they got to get some help. I said,
Well, and it's never too late. That's the thing,
thank
too.
God that it's never too late.
There is a
Yeah.
scholar that I love. Oh, goodness. Everyone calls her Dr. Stacy Pants. What? Oh, Dr. Stacy Patton.
Okay.
And she is an advocate for something that is very near and dear to my heart, which is rearing children basically without beating them. Now, we both know,
Yeah.
not only are we African descendant, we've had ancestors who had the trauma of slavery and being shipped all over the world from our
Right,
roots and our
right.
homes and colonized and losing our mother tongues. And then as a form of discipline to
Yeah.
keep us in line,
Yes.
you know, it's not our natural way. And I think so many people think that it is. So Dr. Stacy Patton, who I have to give a shout out.
Yeah.
If anyone is interested in her work, please just Google her.
Yeah.
But she's written several books. But I love the fact that, I visit her page at least once or twice a week and just kind of observe some of the conversations, and what's happening in the community that she's fostered is beautiful, because you see people on a daily basis say, you know what, I grew up, my mom beat me, my grandmother beat my mom, it's just a way to, but I've made a choice not to do that. And I literally, I'm actually getting a little emotional now because I raised my child that way where I didn't hit him.
Right. And you and I being from a different background, I stand on, you might not want to spare the child the rod, but here's the difference between that beating and the rod of correction. The rod of correction in the Bible never intended for it to be abusive. It never intended for it to be a beating. And I'm not going to go, because there might be somebody who may be like, well, you're a believer. I can't really say that I believe that spanking is not. I think it is to the person's discretion, but I do not in any way, shape, or form think that beating a child is okay. I do not. Yeah. So you have to listen to Holy Spirit, okay? And allow the Holy Spirit to lead you. That rod could possibly be, the correction of, hey, take away something. I don't know, because you know what? I'm not that deep. I didn't go to theology school. I'm not about to try to figure this out and tell you that the rod is. I don't know what the rod is, child. I don't know. But as for me and my household, we will do what God says, right? But again, thank God for the Holy Spirit that speaks to me, very much like you and I are sitting here communicating.
Well, and I think my main point, with this particular point, I was bringing up discipline, but it could be applied to anything, that it's never too late to change course. If you gain new information or new knowledge, it's never too late to learn, to pivot, to adjust.
Yeah, keep learning.
And that's part of, tying it back into the discussion about therapy. I think sometimes people feel like, well, this is just me. I have these habits, I have these ways, I have these thoughts, and it's just I'm resigned to be this way forever, and I'm not going to let anybody mess around with my brain. Essentially.
Which is, again, being boxed. Being boxed.
And it is okay to unburden yourself and say, you know what? I got some new information. I have something that is going to help me expand.
And be better. And do things differently. And again, it's that desire to never stop growing, no matter what age, no matter where you are in life. Don't stop growing. Don't stop learning. Continue to, start businesses that whenever you want to, whether you're 10 years old or whether you're 60 years old. It's never too late. If you want to start building your body at 60, it's never too late. Look, as long as you're still, folks doing I was going to say, as long as you are breathing, if you have breath in your life and you want to do something, this is the time to do it, because what? You're still breathing, right? So as long as you still have breath in your life, then go ahead and do that thing.
Yeah.
Because the only one that is keeping you from not being able to do it is yourself.
Absolutely.
Because you've boxed yourself.
Right.
And if you put yourself in a box, then you're pretty much stuck in there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I likened it to like if I did have like a little box, you know, to say if somebody could fit in this box and
Right.
well, they're not going anywhere because that's where
it.
they are.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a dead
they
end.
can't. Yeah. And you, it's hard to crawl out of a box, you know, no matter how deep the box is. I mean, I guess if you had like a 2-inch box, you could probably crawl out of it.
She's like,
you
let me
know?
get my tape measure.
I was like, if you had a 2-inch box and then you had on some
and the
high
box,
heels.
The box is also a metaphor.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you
Yes.
know,
Thank you for explaining that because you know I was about to go like, well, I guess if your heels were like 5 inches,
Right.
you could possibly
You could
step
technically-
out of.
Right,
Yeah. Okay.
right.
But no.
Which
no.
is also a metaphor.
Right.
Use every tool that you have.
Absolutely.
Everything
Absolutely.
within your arsenal.
Somebody
so I keep
got it.
checking the time because I'm
Okay.
really trying to be
Okay.
good about not driving our
Yeah.
producer crazy and
Good.
always going over.
That's really
so
good.
we have a few
That's
minutes,
so
a
kind of
couple.
you.
I want to ask you a few things that seem maybe like a little silly, but
Okay. We like
because
silly.
because
I'm
you
silly.
are
I'm very silly. I like to
Panamanian,
laugh.
I want to just bring it back. Thank you for sharing so much of you
Yeah.
during this interview.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it's definitely going to touch some
Yeah,
folks. There's
yeah.
two things. Look, I knew it.
He already
You got
coming out.
5
He
minutes.
like, he's like, wrap it up, sis.
Okay, so there's two things
Two
that I
things.
want to ask you
Okay.
because you know I love to eat.
Yes.
You love to eat. What is a classic Panamanian dish?
Arroz con pollo.
Okay, that
Okay.
everyone
That-
needs
you
to
know-
try. You're like, you don't even have to finish the
it's like,
sentence.
look, if I had the time to make it, I would feed everybody. But you know what?
Yeah.
It's so time consuming that I do it once
if you
a year.
do it right, it's
Once
such
a year.
yeah.
If you do it right.
Yeah.
Like fresh everything, okay?
Yes.
Nothing canned, fresh everything, okay?
Right.
Fresh everything.
Everything.
Everything has to be fresh, okay? So, arroz con pollo.
Yeah.
Definitivamente
So-
el arroz con pollo.
Okay, so
Definitiva.
if you have not had, if you are, I think one of the ways to introduce oneself
Yeah.
to cultures that they may not be familiar with is through our food. You know,
Absolutely.
I do that. You do that. Like food is entree into
Yeah.
another
Yeah, yeah,
person's
yeah.
world, and it's a
Yeah.
beautiful way to grow and
Absolutely,
to learn. So if you
absolutely.
haven't had an opportunity, but do we even have any Panamanian
no.
restaurants around
Girl,
here? We
no.
don't. I just thought about it.
No,
Okay,
no.
so take
Maybe
a trip.
somebody, no. Let
somebody-
me not start no different.
Don't invite
I got
anyone to
enough.
somebody's house.
No, not only that. I was like, maybe I need to start a food truck. No.
Okay,
we're not doing
business
that.
number 25.
Because I can cook, you know.
No, I know you can. So maybe this is the takeaway.
Okay.
If you're planning a vacation for the summertime is coming up,
Yes.
and you're looking at a map and you're like, where do I want to go?
Oh, check out Panama. Oh,
maybe you don't go to Europe.
absolutely.
Maybe you don't go to Greece. Maybe you go to Panama and try some arroz con pollo.
Yes.
And
Let me tell
immerse
you.
yourself in the culture.
Beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful landscapes, beautiful beaches. Like what? Like why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like people go to Costa Rica all the time because it's right next door.
And it's
but I'm like, what? Like Costa Rica, you know, but for the culture, okay.
Right.
If you're about the culture, go to Panama.
Yes. Okay. So
Second
y'all heard
question.
it.
Look,
Y'all heard
second
it.
question. Wrap
Second
it up,
question. We have
sister.
like
Wrap it
45
up.
seconds.
Wrap it up.
So when I first met you
Yeah.
20 years ago, I don't know.
Was it 20 something?
It was before I had my son, and he just turned
2000?
18.
Was it 2000? Maybe
Yeah.
2001?
Ooh, you're telling. Okay.
Well, I already said my
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
I don't know if you, I don't know what's she doing, but I told y'all I didn't talk
I'll be
about
45 this
that.
year.
Okay.
So when I first met you,
Yeah.
I remember you had a really striking, short, almost like
Yeah.
platinum blonde
Yeah.
haircut.
Yeah.
And
That was.
you-
I think that might have been during the time Dennis Rodman was playing for the Spurs.
So, okay.
But I had my blonde short hair
First.
first. Okay.
You did.
Because I was still in, and I just wanted to know. I had mine first.
Right, okay.
I wasn't.
So
yeah.
everyone
okay.
needs to know this.
I had mine first.
Well, and where I'm going with this
Yeah.
is you have, as of late, really embraced your hair. And I think I've always told you, like, sis, wear your hair curly. Let it out.
Oh
And
my gosh. How much time do we have? Because you know that's
listen,
a whole nother.
almost
Okay.
I
Like
almost-
nothing. We
No,
have
I know.
Nothing.
I-
Nothing.
I almost want to have a
Yeah.
show just about natural hair. And you know what? I'm going to do it. We'll do a
You
panel.
should absolutely do it from A through Z.
Yeah, I'm going to.
All the coils in
Thank
between.
you. I'm going
absolutely.
to. Because I'm on the Z end.
Okay.
Even when it was big, it was definitely a Z.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
said, your hair's 4C. I was like, no,
Yeah,
sis, it's
uh-uh.
4Z. But my question
Yes.
for you
Yeah.
is, what has it done for you as an Afro-Latina woman, as a woman with like this proximity to blackness, because you are a Black Latino woman, Latina woman.
Yeah.
What has wearing your hair naturally done for you?
Oh man, it's so freeing.
Yes.
It's so freeing because I haven't always worn it this way. You know, we've used the white crack and we blow dried it and try to fit myself into the culture so that, you know, even to this day, when I'm around people of different culture, they kind of like, wow, your hair's a lot. Your hair's a lot. Like I get the look, your hair's a lot.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it is, right? But I love it. It's not as fabulously coiled as I normally like it to be, but you know.
But even that, dang it, I wish you
so,
had more.
It's so Diana Ross-ish. It's giving me Diana Ross vibes or something. I just love it. But yeah.
But even that, I think, is something, even within the natural hair communities, the desire to constantly have it look perfect while still being natural.
Yes.
So it has to be perfectly defined.
Right,
you
right,
have to have
right.
ringlets.
Yeah.
Poof is bad.
Right.
It needs to have sheen.
Right. That's why I said that's a whole nother
it's
show,
a
sis.
girl,
That's a whole nother show.
You're going to have to come back.
Because even
Guylan, we're having a natural hair show.
Yes.
We're going to put it on the calendar. And
I
we'll
will be back for that one.
5 or 6
so,
guests.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it's so freeing. Yeah. It's so freeing because, you know, I shaved it off once upon a time.
I remember.
So, you know, you've had the shaved and I've had the shave, and that was
just
freeing too.
I just won't grow mine back.
That was freeing too, but I love my hair. I love, when I tell you I love my hair. Like, I teeter-tottered with the idea of blow drying it straight, but I was like, that's not who I am. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
I am my curls.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on that
I
note,
will not be bought.
ladies and gentlemen and other, et cetera, Yaneth,
congratulations.
Thank
I'm
you.
So proud of you, sister.
I'm okay. Don't, because I don't want to cry.
Okay, cut the camera off. So proud of you.
No, I want to thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
And for being vulnerable.
Absolutely.
There's this, and transparent, maybe that's the better word.
Yeah.
There's an expression that someone's testimony is someone else's greatest teacher.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing with us today. I love you immensely. You're welcome back anytime.
Yes.
And is there any, that I almost forgot. So what I need to do, would you like people, because I know that you don't like everyone all in your sauce. So if someone wants to follow you, I know you're not taking esthetician clients right now, but you are taking makeup clients. Are you booked? Okay, y'all, she's booked on everything. So this is what we're going to do. We're not going to give you her socials. What we're going to encourage you to do is follow my show, because when she launches, I Am Original, I will absolutely, definitely be plugging it here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I've gotten a sneak peek.
Yes.
Sneak peek.
Yes.
Everything is really beautiful and intentional, and I know that it's going to be well received.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
In Jesus' name,
and can you also just hit the like button and share this, please?
Like,
I'm really bad about asking our
It's
viewers
important
to do that.
Yeah.
And Guylan, our producer, he said, you can't assume that people are just going to do it.
Right.
So
No, share.
Share, hit the like button, do all of that great stuff.
Yay.
Follow us at VodPod Media. And until next time.
Until next time, sis.
All right.
I love you.
We out.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Sayonara, sucker.
Good.